thank you for everyone for joining in this experimental live stream. It's been a few years since Zach and I have done something like this, and I thought I would just try rolling it out without any type of advertising or just to see how engaged everyone is. But anyway, um, we are rolling live. It's 6:44. And I guess I will hand it over to Zach if you want to just kind of give everyone an update on your background and who you are and some of the exciting things that you're working on, or I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
I'll just hand it over to you.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Yep.
I was interested because you suggested talking about the class that we worked on and
Yep.
just kind of looking back at it and what we learned, and I think that's really valuable to look back. But right now, what I'm doing is full time with landscaping and taking care of estates and properties, working with crew members and um, designing and a variety of things in residential landscape. I really do enjoy it. It's something that I've done since I was really young. It was one of my first jobs, and I've gone through different love and hate seasons of it. I've gone through all the from being on the crew pulling weeds to now doing like management and sales. And I had like a realization that like no matter what you're doing, if you do it well, it's way more satisfying. And so I was just thinking a lot of time. I don't play golf, but just kneeling down on a golf green to just examine the grass. And I thought, I personally am not a lawn person. And so, but yet most of my work is working with lawns. But this golf green, there's something special about it. It's very meticulously cared for. It's beautiful in a special way. And so I was thinking, I might not personally like lawns, but what if I was working on the world's best lawns? And that really just changed my whole attitude toward my work. And that's what I'm doing right now. Um, but like the class, why did I step away from the class? Was really just because I wanted to give my full attention to one thing, and the landscaping is what I chose. I realized that as the class developed and progressed, um, in order to do it well, I would have to give like 100% of my time, and I would have to put in quite a bit of an investment to make it really world class, and that's what I wanted to do. And I just felt like that wasn't something I was prepared to do at the time. Like you told me that you got to burn the boats, and I just wasn't prepared to burn the boats. So I stopped doing the class. But
Yeah.
um, I do remember the day that I met you was like when the on my side. I mean, we were both doing classes.
Yep.
I had just barely gotten started, and I was just trying to get a feel for what was going on in the community. And I was going to various different classes, and a friend of mine mentioned that you were doing a class, and I remember that like we inoculated a stump with oysters at
Is that
kind of a
the co-op at
yeah at the
first?
co-op.
Yep.
Yeah, that
So
was an
they,
important day.
yeah. So yeah, if I can like kind of reflect on everything you just said. So I think that early on in like my mushroom journey, I was kind of just reaching out to other like-minded people. So like having those classes was really good like a beacon for finding other people who had similar interests. And then like you said, I had just given like a generic seminar about mushroom cultivation at the co-op, and we had a really good conversation, and it just kind of built upon that. And then throughout that inception point until our last class, I feel like it evolved like significantly from just meeting people. And like at one point we were doing those classes at the Four Seasons, which is like a cooperative grocery store, and like that was starting to build lots of momentum. And then we uh, we did what we had to do as far as like space and like just allocation of our resources at the time. And I don't know, it's I'm just grateful to have had the dissonance to kind of look back on all of that and think about how many people's lives we've influenced, and just all the just I feel like just enjoyable moments in those classes was cool. But yeah, I don't know, I feel like just marking the end of an era and then starting up something new is it can be like pretty, I don't know, like when you're living in the moment, it doesn't feel like anything is happening, but then looking back on it, it's really easy to like create these decisive moments in time. And I would say like last time we did a podcast like this was about 3 years ago at my house in Denver, and we were like really in the midst of building that movement.
Yeah.
And then now, like taking that time to reflect back on it, it's pretty interesting. And um, I don't know, I just appreciate you like being here, and maybe we can kind of conceive some like future trajectory in the mushroom education world.
So yeah, like looking forward at what mushroom cultivation education would look like. Something that I had in mind was just having it needs to be scalable. So what we were doing was very in person, and it was very personal training, and only a limited number of people could make it. We could only fit 8 people, and so looking forward, how do you scale it across time zones and distances? And so I was thinking that it would require just like really good video, having some video recordings. It would require having like pre-made experiments to as class materials, and it would require like virtual coaching. That was at a time when AI didn't seem like it was. I mean, it was active, but it wasn't in the public sphere. And now with these AI models out, it seems like that there's probably a place for that. But I've been playing with that a little bit, and it's like wrestling an oiled snake to get it to cooperate consistently. If I wanted to take on my personality and the things that I want to teach, it would be quite difficult because you update a model and then all of a sudden your instructions are running on a different model. So I would be very interested to try out the education tool that you pointed out to me, but I didn't sign up for it.
Yep.
Um, but I think basically what that is basically you have a body of knowledge, and you use that as the training model and the context for the AI model. And so it can answer questions based off of the data that you have. Like you have all these YouTube videos, and you have lots of documentation that you've put together. So basically, you can use a ChatGPT or some other AI model and use for the context the documents that you have. Potentially, it could um, train in the direction that you would, but not necessarily. I mean, it takes a lot of work to cultivate or train, or what's the word, like give it a script or
Yeah, curate.
give it a direction, because like a general AI model is just trained on like billions of parameters, but you're trying to get it to answer questions about how to do sterile technique, and that's a very narrow and specific question. And like you can put photos in and it might recognize what you're doing, but could it give you good advice based off of the
Mm,
documents that you've produced? I think that that's a difficult task, but I think it would be, if well done, it would be incredible. You can just take, like in some of these chat programs, you can just use a video and it sees what you see, and it can surprisingly identify a lot of stuff in the scene, and it potentially could give you some advice, I guess. I think that would be a difficult task.
I remember like super early on when we were just coming up with ideas for this class, you'd mentioned that there was one, maybe it was the radical mycology, Peter McCoy.
Mm-hmm.
He was like trying to launch some kind of a class. Like, do you remember what that was about?
Yeah, I was. I did. I can't remember why I didn't finish the program. It was like very early on when he first launched it, but he had some really well done videos, and it was a really beautiful course. I don't remember exactly why I didn't finish it. Um, that was it was
So
like
it's kind of
a
like a
bunch of instructional
modular.
videos. Yeah.
Okay,
Hmm.
very cool.
Someone's suggesting that Perplexity is better for some of the.
Perplexity is a bit better since it's reading forum posts and video transcripts, but it's quite limited how it generalizes knowledge.
Yeah, it's super generalized. So if you're going to try to take um, a complex order of operations like sterile procedure, or I mean, Gary, one thing I appreciate about you is like you have a very structured and analytical and chronological plan for your mushroom production, and it's resulted in like a successful farmers market and a successful business because you were thinking about it in a procedural way. Um, Whereas some of the AIs might just sort of generalize and might miss steps and might put steps out of order, and you as the user have to know that something's wrong. You have to identify that there's something wrong and kind of wrestle with it. And so if you don't
Hmm.
already have the expertise, it might be misleading you. But same with
Hmm.
just taking a quick cultivation class. Some of them are very general, and so you might be having to do a lot of trial and error.
Harness the intelligence of nature for your brain health with Fantastic Fungi's Memory Gummies, featuring lion's mane, ashwagandha, and choline. These fungal allies support concentration, ideation, sharpen recall and retention, are vegan and packaged in 100% compostable material. My personal experience with lion's mane has been enhanced REM sleep cycles and better dream recall, which improves my mental clarity because I get better sleep. This helps dramatically with running a farm and keeping up with my toddler. Click the link in the description below to get yours now.
I'm feeling like there could be a reasonable marketplace for like specific AI roles, almost like maybe one AI would be like this general coach, and then another AI could be like a very like process oriented coach, and then maybe there would be like another AI. So before the time comes where one AI will be able to like differentiate the problems and all these different processes, maybe you could just break down AI like coaches into specific lanes, and then that
Mm-hmm.
might be something like in the present that would hold value. I just don't know like if any of these chat bots or whatever are any more helpful than like the forums that exist, because they're just pulling information off of these like biased like people. I don't know. So I would say like
Yeah.
yeah, like one of the major things that I see in mycology instructors in general is just like the bias of like what's worked for them, and then leaning towards that, which might be totally different for the scalability problem like you described. Like how do you, so maybe that's why these teachers or instructors are so vague or generalized, is because as you scale up something, what might work for you in a specific region might not translate into like a different climate or a
Yeah.
different like marketplace. Like I feel like that is like the limitation. Like I guess I'm trying to boil down like the boundaries of these new tools that are developing, and it seems like it's like the generalized approach is very effective, but then as something gets narrowed down, it becomes a little bit less effective.
Dirty the Grower is saying that, yeah, it's based on all previous human posts.
Yeah.
So that is a insightful point. These are not coming up with their own ideas. They are, I kind of think of it as a chattable Library of Alexandria. It's like the human literary corpus that is not bound to pages, and it's not bound to books, it's not bound to shelves. You can talk with it in a non-structured, um, you can communicate with it outside of the boundaries of page by page or chapter by chapter or sentence by sentence, and it can make connections across documents. So, but it's not coming up with its own ideas. It's like search for a library in a non-structured way, which is really amazing. And so, something that's becoming more and more clear is that the limiting factor is the human input. It's not the necessarily the quality of the programming. It's the human input. I think that there's a really awesome YouTube, or you can find it on YouTube, but it's called Ithaca. It's a ancient Greek AI model that it's used to kind of predict if there's a missing piece, where what could be that missing piece, and where was it written, what time was it written, and it's really fascinating. So it has all this huge ancient Greek library that no human could keep in their mind at one time, but the way that it was designed is it required collaboration from experts, and so the results were better. Uh, the AI prediction had a certain degree of accuracy, and the human prediction had a certain degree of accuracy. But in this collaborative model, it produced something better than either one could accomplish on its own, because the limiting factor is the human creativity. I think as this AI develops more and more, we're going to realize that it's more and more not human. It's really good at language, but humans are more than just language. There's aesthetics. There's lots of different intelligence that humans have that so far AI has not been able to duplicate, and maybe some of them are not duplicable. Like humans are special. Something that I have been thinking about recently is just the topic of self discipline. And I was chatting with AI. Give me examples of wildlife out in nature where a creature makes an artificial constraint um, in order to discover something new or to achieve something um, that its buddies aren't able to achieve. And so far, I haven't found an example. The examples that were given were things like a bird fasting because of migrating, or a squirrel hoarding nuts. And these are not artificial. These are there's environmental constraints, like the bird needs to hurry to get to this climate before it's too late, before breeding season's over. The squirrel needs to hoard nuts because winter's coming. The squirrel has no control over winter, but people um, put these artificial constraints on themselves, and that's called self-discipline. I don't think animals do that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
something that came to mind is like beavers, like they're building a dam, so it's putting artificial constraint on the water
Interesting.
flow. So that could be like kind of what you're in line of thinking, and then also like wasps and bees that are building their nests, like that could
Okay.
maybe be some kind of constraint, but I feel like that's like a benefit. But like I literally think of a beaver dam, like when you were talking about that, and then it blocks the water, and then this water creates a whole new environment, and then that could be thought of as like a person, like when they're I don't know what types of artificial constraints, like just working out maybe, or
One example that was given, that was a really good example of an artificial constraint for humans, is like a hackathon, or any kind of competition. You set an end time, so that
okay,
you've
this is
constrained
cool.
time. You
So
have to, if you want to be judged in this competition, you have to be done by March 1st. And so that's an artificial constraint. It's sort of just made up,
yeah,
and it forces people to get creative. um, I got to think about the beaver thing,
yeah. So it's
because it is an artificial structure.
yes,
My thesis is that animals don't have self-discipline. They are
react
reacting to their environment.
reactionary.
But I'll have to
Mm,
think about that, because yeah, wasps build these beautiful structures.
yeah. How do we relate that to mushrooms in the wild? I feel like so like I feel like they're always reacting. They're just
Hmm.
reacting to their environments, which is what causes pinning and fruiting. And it's like that, but maybe they are artificially constructing the environment to produce that, because they're spreading the mycelium out and congregating the resources into a specific region, which is an artificial constraint
Hmm.
in from some other perspective. So the mycelium could be acting in like human intelligence, and then if you correspond that to an AI, but I feel like an AI is almost like a reactionary flow of energy that surrounds the mycelial network in that way. If you can
Mm.
relate that to a human consciousness, it's almost like the reaction. It would be like the release of antibiotics into the environment, or the release of different like enzymes and byproducts. I don't know. I'm kind of trying to. I'm forcing the idea that AI is a byproduct of human consciousness in correspondence to the mycelial network and some of the functional compounds that come with mushrooms. Like, I feel like there's some kind of a parallel, and it's like it's
Mm.
it's like forming so quickly in real time that I feel like I don't know, it's just cool to think about. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I was during the class kind of developing a framework for thinking about mycelium as sort of a genetic library. And so like it interacts with different environmental stimuli, different chemicals, different interactions in the environment, and it looks up a response from a genetic library. That could be oversimplifying, but I was just thinking about the antibiotics or any kind of interesting compounds that the mycelium creates as sort of like molecular machines. They're it's like a physical three-dimensional language that the world says one shape, and then the mushroom responds with the other shape to alter the world around it, which would be digestion, or it would be maybe calling in different cooperative organisms. Um, yeah, I haven't thought about that for a little bit, but that was sort of a mental framework that I was working on, like the library idea, and
mm,
looking up different.
and you mentioned Library of Alexandria with this AI,
Mhm.
and like I don't know, I feel like it's cool. It's all like merging together and forming this like uh I don't know, this like primordial soup of ideas. I
Yeah.
feel like, yeah, it's it. So I remember you sent me that song that you
Oh
created.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like we should bust that out
yeah. I don't know
at
if
some
the
point.
yeah. So when I was you wanted to have me back on the podcast to talk about the class that we did,
Yep.
and I was thinking about that, and just kind of going through what did we teach and what did we learn. And I felt like I wanted to turn some of those things into songs. I'm not sure if this is a great form to share the
I don't know either.
sound like double recorded.
Yeah.
Perhaps it'll sound good, perhaps it won't.
Yeah.
But basically
we can work the magic.
Yeah, basically I used this was my process. And I think you should really try this if you're working with AI. Rather than just saying, "Hey AI, can you write me a song about aseptic technique?" and then editing it. What I did was I kind of had it interview me, and I offered some things together and created an idea and kind of filled in all the gaps of this idea. And so basically, taking what I could remember, sharing it with the AI, listening to it back, looking for the gaps, creating an entire idea, and then asking for a song about that entire concept. And I felt like it turned out fairly good. It's definitely not perfect.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, so I got 2 of them.
Oh,
and,
okay.
And I want to say that I wrote them, but yeah, AI wrote them. I edited them a little bit. But what I did do is more like a composer or like a conductor, and AI ran the symphony. I don't have to play violin. I don't have to play guitar. I don't have to play the drums. I don't have to play any of that stuff. I don't actually even have to write notes, but I'm conducting it. I'm not just asking for something to copy and paste to get my homework done. What I did was I actually built a complete idea and then asked for the instruments to be played for me. And here's one that I hadn't shared with you. This one is called Aseptic Anthem. It's a little bit of like punk rock a little bit.
Minimize bioburden, 17% isopropanol, wipe every surface that's certain. Sterilize the scalpel, let it glow, then cool. Extract the internal tissue, contamination's full. Mycelial expansion, radial and true. High full growth, monitor parameters in view. Maintain stable conditions, no deviations allowed. Each step precise, making any mycologist proud. Initiate the transfer, grain to grain with care. Uniform colonization, ensure the spawn is fair. Aseptic technique, every movement counts. Precision in each action, no room for doubts. Mycelial expansion, radial and true. High full growth, monitor parameters in view. Maintain stable conditions, no deviations allowed. Each step precise, making any mycologist proud. It's not just a scientific quest, but meeting a need, ensuring the best. Nutritional demands and culinary delight. The client's requirements keep the goal in sight. Product market fit, the ultimate aim. Sustainability ensures the hobby's flame. Precision and purpose, hand in glove. Fulfilling the need is what this work is made of. Mycelial expansion, radial and true. High full growth, monitored parameters in view. Maintain stable conditions, no deviations allowed. Each step precise, making any mycologist proud. Mycelial expansion, radial and true. High full growth, monitored parameters in view. Maintain stable conditions, no deviations allowed. Each step precise, making any mycologist proud. scientific quest, but meeting the need, ensuring the best. Nutritional demands and culinary delight. The client's requirements keep the goal in sight. The product market fit, the ultimate aim. Sustainability ensures the hobby's flame. Precision and purpose, hand in glove. Fulfilling a need is what this work is made of.
Anyway, it keeps on going,
That's
but
amazing.
it's like so these songs, they're not perfect and they're not even really that great, but they've become for a short period of time like some of my favorite songs because I'm like hearing something that I learned
Yes.
in song.
It's
And
like a value entertainment aspect of it.
yeah. And I've never, I'm no famous musician. I'm not a musician.
It
But
reminds me of like if you ever saw Bill Nye the Science Guy growing up on PBS,
yeah.
they would do like the music video of like parodies of popular songs, but this is like opposite because it's like making a popular song out of knowledge. But that's super super cool. Like I would love to do like a music video based off that.
Sure,
We
yeah.
should film it up with Brian.
Let's do it. Let's do
That
it.
would be so cool. Like I don't even know like what that was so like good. Just imagine like just I could just imagine us like dancing around and spraying isopropyl and like doing like the aseptic technique like
Yeah.
dance. Like I don't know.
Yeah, totally. I'm impressed by what came out of this conversation, and I just ran it through like an AI song generator, and it's okay. But I don't know how to edit it. Like, there's some pronunciation problems. It's not perfect, but I've really enjoyed making them and listening to them. I listened to them tens of times, and it's a little bit like I feel like there's a lot of famous musicians that play their own songs and they hear their own songs on the radio, and it's like I've never had that experience before, but I had a huge part in making that song. And then another one, the idea was I like the other one better. It's a little bit more techno-y, but the idea was just about a petri dish. And I was just thinking about during the class, this was an idea that came up in my mind that really the petri dish is just a two-dimensional filter. It's obviously a three-dimensional structure, but the surface that we're using is two dimensions, and it forces the mycelium and the bacteria to grow not in three dimensions like normally out in nature, but it forces it onto a two-dimensional surface. And so I was just thinking about that little circle, and in talking with the AI about this concept and like asking it about like auger, like how do we, this is the idea is that auger came from Japan as a culinary thing. It got introduced into the lab in I think the 17 or 1800s by forget the guy's name, but his wife's name is Fanny. She recognized that this would be good in the lab, and so ever since then that changed the entire world. Like the work that you're doing right now is because of some woman recognizing this gel's use in the laboratory. And anyway, I was just back and forth with AI about auger, about petri dishes. It got me thinking about engineering principles. Like, I didn't study engineering, but I know that there's some fundamental engineering shapes, like the wheel, like a lever, like a wedge. There's a few fundamental shapes that are in everything that you have. Like a screw is a wheel, a long wheel, and it has a wedge that's twisted around it. It's just simple shapes. And so the idea, kind of the song came out of a guy writing down his lab journal. He's playing with agar, he's playing with mycelium, he's working in his lab, and he's just taking notes. He's like, Tuesday at 4 p.m. I got the agar finished, and it has these properties. And he was just thinking about it, and kind of the lab journal turned into a song. And he's like just recognizing that really any process that you're trying to accomplish, anything you're trying to accomplish, it has first principles. And in so many things, circles, triangles, these are the where big things start as small shapes. And I mean that song's a little bit too long to play, but
You gotta play it, dude.
Okay,
That
I'll
one's a
play
good
it.
one.
I'll play it.
Someone wants to know if this is a background or a green screen.
It's a background.
It's real.
Okay. So this one's a little bit like ambient techno, and yeah, again, the context is a guy sitting at his sterile lab and taking his lab journal, just taking notes, like I'm sure Gary does.
I just film YouTube, but this is so cool.
Tuesday, 4:07 p.m. Agar held firm again. Derived from red algae gelidium, I think. Dissolves at 95, sets around 40. Thermal hysteresis again, stable, reliable. Sterile, perfect. I poured it smooth, 4 millimeters thick. Watch the streak loop glide. Colonies bloom overnight like stars on a flat sky. The dish, just a shallow glass circle, but something about it. It reduces life to a plane, one plane contain noble. Like a wheel, like a lever, simple shapes that change the world. And here I am, holding a loop, a wedge of steel transferring life with precision. A pipette, a loop, a flame, all borrow from simpler tools. It starts with the simplest shape, the circle, the plane, the line. A dish, a wheel, a coat of life. Progress drawn by steady hands, on glass, on gears, on strands. Fanny's kitchen tip became a global protocol. A desert gel turned petri gel where pure strains were pulled from chaos. Agarose, double helical, like the decode it helped uncover. Patterns locked in sugar spirals. It starts with the simplest shape, a curve, a scaffold, a gel, where thought becomes method, and method becomes a cell. No one sees the revolution in a glass dish, warmed and cooled, but I do. Progress isn't loud, it plates itself and grows, but it starts with the simplest shape. It starts with the simplest shape.
I like it. I like it.
I love it, dude.
Yeah, I like that one. Like the words are crazy. Like I didn't write any of those words, but I helped make a giant idea, which these words came from.
Yeah,
Like
it's
it,
catchy. Like I feel
yeah,
like that is like an inception into your brain. It creates like new tunnels of thought, and then like having a catchy like feeling behind it is a whole new level of teaching.
yeah, yeah.
It's very trippy.
It
It's
talks about,
so cool.
yeah. Like I'll read some of the words. I don't know if I hope the sound is still
Yeah,
good, but
some people says the sound's okay, some people says it's not good, but honestly, this is just a we're raw dogging it. So
yeah.
the
Sorry. Yeah. So like some of the cool things. The auger gel. I guess we're using a lot of different things nowadays, like gel and gum.
gelin
Yeah,
gum.
I'm not sure really where that comes from, but auger is something that totally changed the world, and it's very simple. It's derived from an algae, gelidium. Um, it dissolves. I'm not sure if these. I didn't double check these facts, but we talked about hysteresis, which is where it dissolves and melts at different temperatures, or it solidifies and melts at different temperatures. That's one of the key things of why auger is good to use and not Jello. Jello doesn't work because it melts at the same temperature that it solidifies,
Mm-hmm.
and it like the AI wove that in there. Talks about colonies bloom overnight like stars on a flat sky. It was kind of fun. Um, it's just a shallow glass dish, a circle, but something about it reduces life to a plane, one plane, contained, knowable. That's like the whole reason you're using a petri dish is because it simplifies it. It's a reductionist thing, which is not. Um, I think we need to start thinking bigger than just one organism. We have to start thinking about ecosystems, but reduction helps us understand parts of it. I think our next frontier is to figure out how does the pieces fit together into the whole ecosystem, which goes into like eDNA. Something I learned this week is that you can take an air sample and get the genetic, and it's kind of obvious, but there's like air samplers that can tell you if there's a disease in the hospital or whatever, just from the air, non-invasive samplers. I was thinking eDNA was you have to dig up the soil, but you can just set a sampler in the air and
Yep.
collect every organism's genetics
Yep.
and start to learn how the ecosystem works together. It's fascinating. Yeah, another verse that I really like that's in this. Um, Fanny's kitchen tip became a global protocol, a desert gel turned petri gel, where pure strains were pulled from chaos. Agarose double helical, like the code it helped uncover. So I need to fact check this, but I think that the agar gel is a helical sugar,
Whoa, that's wild.
and that's like a huge tool and for how we even understood that genes are in that double helix. And like the electrophoresis gel is auger is just like so intertwined with
Yeah.
even
So
knowing about genes.
even just mycelium in general is like a double helix, not necessarily, but it's a two fused. I guess it's not even a protein. It's a structure that's based off of double helixes, but it's constantly evolving. So like the principle of this like helix structure is like it's adaptable but yet resilient.
Yeah.
And then that is like applied many times in the world of mycology. And I don't know, I like where this thought process is going, and then bringing that all into the information, into the informational aspect is like maybe these first principle aspects are just so like by what's the word? Like they're just so like plus or minus or obvious, and then that is the bottleneck which creates these structures of information and learning. Like, I don't know, maybe we have to like just understand these really basic principles first before we like move out into more advanced. Like one of the things that I think AI will have a huge lever in is the CRISPR technology and the gene editing. So I'm trying to think of like how this fits into there. But like I think that AI will make what creating a song, which could have taken months or years, and it's going to look at this huge database of just objective information and like be able to compartmentalize all of those things into these lanes of information, and then we'll really be able to rapidly manipulate genes in the next early future because of the, I don't know what it is, it's like a concentration of understanding almost,
Yeah.
and it's forcing it into these like song like things. I don't know where this train of thought is going, but I feel like it's coming up soon where like that iNaturalist is going to merge with this AI data, and then our human brains are so not oriented towards like reading these patterns so well.
Yeah.
So the AI tool will be able to compartmentalize the snippets of genomes, and then we'll be able to like as humans turn that into a commodity really easily. Like
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the strengths of the AI models. They're called large language models, and that's what the genetic code is a language. So that's right in its wheelhouse. Something that the AI is not great at is feeling and like evaluating beauty and stuff. It's not super great at that, but it's really great at language. So that's something that's absolutely it should be used for. And then yeah, like what if we took genetic code? What would be the song that you would write with genetic code? It could
yes,
be like
it's all coming soon.
really wild. That's your new instrument is the genetic code.
Cool, man. Well, I feel like the last time we met, it was all about just meeting in person. And now we're like so digitally connected that we have 18 cameras, like different, but like software programs. We got so many screens going, and like just 3 years improvement from then till now is fascinating. And like, I don't know, I love thinking about all this stuff and just bringing it to the forefront. And I appreciate all these songs that you created, and I don't know. I'm very excited about technology being integrated into mushroom education and mycology education. And I just think back about the earliest forums of like just these like really basic text forums with grainy pictures, and where it's led to this weird in between era where we started teaching, and like we leveraged TikTok and like attention, and now it's like leveraging the whole like ecosystem of AI and human knowledge. And then now it's going to be like it's like folding in on itself, and it's organizing these things. And then where does that lead? I think it's going to just simplify these huge, big, broad patterns like what you described, like taking air samples and decoding DNA and creating that into a pattern. AI, mycology, where it's headed. And basically, it's in my interpretation, it's taking these like really broad scale, complex ideas, and it's linear or it's not even linearizing. It's creating like compartments that are easily digestible for people who are trying to learn, which that's ultimately the goal, is like, how do we pass knowledge on in the most easy way possible? Up until now, it's just been like text. Then it switched to like these video like platforms and like search, like, I don't know, like data banks. And now it's going to be like, what is the most human experience? And that's like music and taste and feelings and like all of that is becoming integrated into our life in real time. And it was just cool to like sit back and think about all this.
Yeah, there were some things about the class that I did want to talk about. In that, just the progression when we started. So the way I got started was I was just getting involved in Facebook groups and commenting, um, trying to help people. And then somebody messaged me who was local and wanted me to teach her how to do it, and had her over, and we spent a couple of hours going through the whole process. She told me that I should teach classes, so I started doing them almost immediately. And basically, it just started with a plastic tub with some holes cut in it, a scalpel, and alcohol burner. And then um, I met you very, very early in on that. I had just barely started, and then you were doing it also. And then we kind of teamed up. In our first classes, I think we were having people share scalpels, and they were sharing, yeah, they were sharing still air boxes, and it was very inefficient. And it was very like, well, it was efficient in the tool use, but it wasn't efficient for the students' time. And more people started coming, and we started raising the price. And I think one of our biggest classes was like 35 or 40.
Yeah.
And when we were doing that, I remember being like really concerned about the use of time, because just changing one blade took like 15 minutes for 30 people to do this.
Yep.
They were like afraid of cutting themselves. And it was just, I felt like I was wasting people's time. And it was like really cool to, with you, like brainstorm on how do we get the most out of the time for all these people. And we got a still air box for every person that signed up, a blade for every person, a flame for every person. Every person had all the tools that they needed, so there was no like trading. And every person had all the materials, so there was no trading, because trading takes time. And then we also got like blade removers to speed it up, so people felt more safe about changing blades. And we were just getting super efficient because the class size was so large that we couldn't keep up with it all. As the class grew, it was so large that we had to be really efficient with the time, which right about then is when we decided to go to a much smaller class size, but we kept that efficiency. It was I don't know what you were thinking at the time, but I was feeling like we had it split into three different classes. We had the aseptic technique, we had the grain transfers and bulk substrate, and then we had a fruiting class.
Mm-hmm.
And I was feeling like the person who goes to the aseptic technique class felt like they didn't know what to do next. And then the person who did grain didn't know what to do next. And I just felt like that was not, it felt unethical to just drop the ball, give them a skill that they didn't know how to progress with. So I felt like we needed to condense it all into one class. Do you remember what you were thinking at that time?
Yeah, I felt the same way. I thought at first it was kind of just like gaining traction. Like we were just doing a bunch of different ones to see what actually would people responded to, and they responded to all of them. So like that was like a huge win, was like any type of class we held was getting good feedback. And then you're right, it was like, well, we were teaching this one skill, but then we were also teaching the like principles of another thing, and like it was like all this weird conglomeration that eventually came together into this really cohesive class. I thought at the time this was amazing. People are so interested in this, but how do we do it effectively? Like that's basically what it was. Like the effects of what we were teaching. And I feel like there are some students that we had that are very successful to this day. Like shout out to the San Luis Valley Cordyceps. They're still doing really good stuff. I remember at one point the sheriff, he was running like a
Oh
whole
yeah,
small scale farm up in
up in the
Grand Lake.
mountains. Yeah,
Like so like that was like super cool that like we were actually teaching these people that were applying this and just doing it successfully. Like that was like a legacy that was very fulfilling to me. And like this part of like what fuels my just drive and like continuing to do this. And like I don't know, it's just nice and rewarding to
yeah,
see the back ends pay off.
yeah. You were way better at staying in touch with people than I was. Um, yeah, you're so much more relational than I am, and like you had a different role. We had different roles in the class. I know one thing. Like, I mean, you just had a successful mushroom business, and you were like constantly experimenting and practicing and um, making the materials and advancing. I felt like I was more interested in the actual like class design and the communication part of it, and like what is the class itself, and how do we transfer like what you're doing into a like take an idea and then communicate it. I felt like that was some. I didn't know that I liked doing that until we started doing the class
Yeah, me
together.
too. It
I
was
had no
awesome.
idea.
I feel like we just explored things that we had no idea that we enjoyed doing. And like that was part of the beauty of it. It was like just following what we actually liked instead of just having deadlines and goals to meet. It was like we got to be really creative in this one thing and just release it into the world. And
Yeah.
getting to see those results pay off was awesome. And
Yeah,
like,
and like just learning about like you had this, you're a young dude, but you had this like incredible professional background that I kept being surprised that you're like pull out these highly technical things that we would practice or kind of at least consider as far as the class goes and like what direction we would be heading. You just kept dredging out all this like expertise,
yeah,
and
and I
then
feel like just applying that and collect as a collective, I feel like we got to experience all these unique perspectives from other people that had like unique backgrounds. And like I hope that these people follow up with us, like the one girl that was a professional snowboarder.
oh
Like
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like she was very involved at one point. And like I don't know, it's just like seeing perspectives from all these different angles and reflecting on that. And I don't know, I don't even know where I'm trying to go with that, but I feel like the community aspect was something that I didn't intend, like launching that project in the beginning. And I think that that will hold up more over time as like AI will kind of devolve all this stuff into this linear, like I feel like there will just be this super efficient pathway. But I think that the different perspectives are like different leads that are like funneling into this ultimate knowledge stream. And that's something we got to experience like super early in like this analog form.
yeah,
And it's like slowly evolved over time. And I think that it's still evolving in like the market space here in Denver, at least, and like on YouTube and whatever. But I feel like, leaving that footprint was very rewarding, and just learning from our experiences on like just valuing the things that make us curious and just exciting. I don't know.
Yeah, that was something that I feel like was something that developed in me during the class. And it was something that I wanted to express every time in the class, that your perspective, like whoever's in this room,
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you're a zoologist or a paralegal or whatever, your perspective is special, unique. No one else has that. And you can really help advance an industry, any industry you want. That perspective that you have and only you hold is incredibly valuable. And I wanted to draw that out of people. That was something that I recognized, I think, during the class. And it's something that I, during the class, just learned to express. And I feel like that's more and more true. And I feel like I've learned to value people more than I have in the past. I kind of grew up with, I remember in college, doing research on Malthus, Thomas Malthus, and it feels like that was what the culture of my upbringing was that overpopulation, people are bad, um, resources are limited, we're all going to eat ourselves out of home, and that's what I kind of latched onto, that people are bad, and I'm growing out of that. I'm realizing that Malthus was wrong. One thing that his main he was right about rabbits. Rabbits will eat themselves to death, but humans have creativity, something that rabbits don't have.
Yeah.
Humans can take limited resources and think about them and figure out a better way of using them. And that's happened for hundreds of years since Malthus. And Malthus was not the beginning of this. So that he's just completely wrong, because people are unique and they have creativity. And I've been growing my appreciation for people. And I think that the class that we worked on was maybe the first time that I expressed that clearly and to other people. And I try to express it more and more clearly. Um, and I believe it more. And it really helps me. Like in business, if you don't like the people that you're serving, you aren't going to do a good job. So if you have a low value for the people that you're selling mushrooms to, or that you're remediating their land, or doing their landscaping, or filing their paperwork, if you don't value their life, you're not going to do a very good job. And it's not going to be very good. If you want to make lots of money, you're not going to do it by doing a bad job. So it's in your best interest as a business person to recognize the intrinsic value of the people you're serving. And that's something that I'm still growing in. But I think that class was the first time I expressed that.
Yeah, that's a really good insight. And I feel like some of the flaws of this social media world is that you don't really value the person at the other end of these things. Like it's like the anonymity of things can kind of diminish that, but it's very important, which like one of the things that I liked most about the farmers market was going there and getting that validation of seeing the same people come back
Mm.
week after week and being like, love your mushrooms. And like just seeing that like interpersonal connection was what drove me to do this for so far and like so often. And I don't know, I feel like that is what I love most about the mycological community, and where I guess the future of this industry is headed is towards more individualization and like little pockets of like communities like this. I feel like that will always be present in the mushroom world, and mushroom people are great in that regards because I feel it's almost like a just a subculture like punk rock or like I don't know, like that cool song. Like I don't know, it just all intertwines together into like these like little groups and meetings. And like the reason why we're even here today, just talking to each other and meeting up, is just like the interconnectedness of this community that doesn't really exist in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone who joined in live. Um, Sorry for the bad audio. I guess that's been staticky or something, but this is going to be remastered and
And republished.
yeah, we'll see how good all the software makes this look. But thanks for tuning in, and thank you all for joining in our mushroom journey. And who knows where this will lead in the future, but thanks again. Thanks for coming on and reflecting. And I feel like it was super cool just to talk about what we did. And I don't know where we'll go from here, but I'd love to do a cool music video or something.
Sure. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's do it.
It's all just fun to me. I just love having fun. So cool.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I've been looking forward to it for a few weeks, and
Cool.
I'm glad to be here.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you. Until next time, much love.